whole barrage of all the tests, the twice yearly tests, blood tests, EKG, echocardiogram, checkup with the doctor, and it all costs like $200. I mean, that would cost you thousands of dollars.
Thousands of dollars.
And my doctor's the head of cardiology. He's able to retire. Honestly, I would still be working if I was in the U.S. I've been retired for 9 years already.
Wow. So this is Dan of Vagabond Awake, and today we're lucky to have Taylor here. Well, I'll let Taylor tell you. Where are we right now, Taylor, and how did you end up here?
Well, we're in Ampang, which is a part of Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia. I ended up trying to retire somewhere so I could retire, and so I picked Malaysia.
What was it about Malaysia that you were drawn to?
Actually, I had visited, and I really liked that a lot of people spoke English. That was huge for me because I don't speak any other languages.
Right.
And they had a good retirement program.
Right.
Not so much right now, but when I did it, it was pretty good and pretty doable.
And so where are you from?
I grew up in Florida in the USA, and I worked mostly in Washington, D.C. for 40 years.
For 40 years, DC. By the way, later on I'll talk about the problems with the retirement visa and what some of the solutions are. We'll discuss that, but I thought we'd get some other stuff out of the way. But Thanks for bringing that up, Taylor. So DC.
Yeah.
And was there a moment when you realized, you know what, I want to retire overseas, and what was that moment if there was one?
Well, what happened was I met someone who lived here in Penang. He started telling me about the MM2H visa program because I thought, honestly, that I would never be able to retire in the United States. I was in my 50s then. I started looking at it and thought, I can do this. It took me 5 years from the start of thinking about it to actually moving here. It worked out great.
And how long have you been here in Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia?
I've been in Kuala Lumpur just over a year.
Okay.
But I lived 7 years in Penang.
So did you look at multiple places before you thought I'll move to Malaysia, or did you just kind of come here?
No, I had traveled Southeast Asia extensively before.
Right.
And I just felt like Malaysia was the most comfortable fit for me.
Interesting. And what was it you noticed that was different about other parts of Southeast Asia that made it feel more comfortable?
Well, the infrastructure is first world, in my opinion.
Yeah, it is.
And that's huge for me. In infrastructure and lifestyle, the most like the U.S. of any part of Asia, I think.
I often say it's the U.S. of Southeast Asia. Mm-hmm. So what would you say the overall reception from the people here in Malaysia? Do they feel like they're as friendly as home, or more friendly, less friendly? What are your thoughts about that?
Well,
if you'd like to be a guest star on Vagabond Awake, please leave a comment below. We're looking for people that live all over the world in beautiful places on much less money than they would have been retired on in their home country.
I lived in a different kind of condominium in Penang, and I felt like the people in the building there were more friendly than they are here. I think this building is more transient and younger. I mean, the building I lived in Penang was working people, but they were all professionals, doctors and stuff, and they were just friendly in the elevator. Here, no one ever says anything to me in the elevator. But in general, the people of Malaysia are very, very friendly. Now, that said, I think that's what the problem is with this building, is that it's not mostly Malaysians that live here.
Oh, it's mostly foreigners.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is a very foreign area of Kuala Lumpur, isn't it? The embassy area, I think they call it.
Yes.
When did you first start thinking about moving overseas?
I said it was about 5 years working up to it, thinking about it, trying to save money. The process for the visa takes a while. They want a lot of information, and it all has to be notarized or certified, and you have to show your income. They require a 10,000 ringgit a month income for the visa I got.
Ringgit, which is like 2,200 US.
Now, right.
My understanding was that the old rule, and I don't mean 9 years ago, but just say 2 years ago before they changed it.
Well, that was the same. It's 9 years ago.
It was the same.
Yeah.
So it was 10,000 ringgit, which now 4.4 to 1 is around $2,200.
Right.
You had to prove income to move here, but it's not that now. It changed.
They don't look at it again. Once you get approved, they don't look at your income again. They just make sure you have your fixed deposit.
Peninsula of Malaysia, which this area we're in, it's the main part of Malaysia, has changed the rules. Now I think is it 40,000?
40,000 ringgit a month.
Like 10,000 a month you need to qualify now. But the tourism ministry or the immigration ministry has just now, after 2 years of watching applications plummet, they've just decided now they're going to reevaluate and maybe go back to the old scheme, or maybe something
moderate,
something more moderate.
Well, I hope so, because it would certainly help my channel.
Right, right. Which Taylor has a YouTube channel. You want to tell him?
Yeah, it's called Andrew Taylor, because I was not creative at all when I named it, but it's about my expat life here in Malaysia and retiring to Malaysia.
Yeah, and we'll put a link below the video so you can go over
That would be great.
And check out. In fact, we found out about Taylor because we saw some of his videos, and that's why we sent him an email, and that's why we're meeting with him today while we're actually
And they happen to be staying next door practically.
Yeah, this is our area. We love the Ampang area. When Peninsular or mainland Malaysia came up with this crazy requirement of $10,000 a month in order to retire here, the applications plummeted. And so many people started applying in Sarawak, which has around a $2,000 a month requirement. I'm not going to talk much about that, but they just made a small change to that. And now you have to stay in Sarawak 30 days per year. Before it was 2 weeks, I think.
Right.
If you would like to learn how I fired my boss and traveled the world for 16 years and how I pay for things, grab a free copy of my ebook. And so if you decide you want to live in Malaysia, you can live anywhere in Malaysia, but you'll have to spend 30 days in Sarawak if you choose to get a Sarawak retirement visa. And also Sabah has announced they're going to come up with a similar plan as Sarawak. Both Sarawak and Sabah are in what's called Borneo, Malaysia, which is one of the largest islands in the world. It's a short flight away, maybe an hour or so. And so you'd have to spend time there, but actually they're quite beautiful. Chung and I were there, we visited, we did films about it, and you can also watch our Sabah and Sarawak videos. But you can also live here if you want to, you just have to spend 30 days over there. Is that what you understand?
Yeah, that's what I understand.
Yeah.
But there was some confusion lately. I shouldn't probably get into it all because some people have gotten their acceptance letters saying that they're required to live full-time in Sarawak.
Oh.
So it's driving people crazy.
Okay, I didn't know that. Thanks for sharing that.
But I don't know about that. That's why I haven't had a lot of information about it, because it seems so up in the air right now. You know, they really need to reevaluate it.
Yeah, and it was like 95% of all visa applicants were going to Sarawak. And KL was like, what are we doing? We're going to lose all of that income, all those retirees, all that money in business. And so that's why they're talking about redoing it.
Plus, a sad thing that happened when they made the change is that people who had been living here for years and years and years, and maybe their visa wasn't even expiring, they just left.
They just left.
Because they didn't feel welcome anymore.
Right, and what you're saying is that they're not requiring you to qualify under the new rules?
No.
They're not.
And when they first announced the new rules, that was not clear either.
They didn't make it clear, did
No,
they?
and then they sort of clarified, because people were freaking out.
Of course,
so,
I remember it very well.
They made it, they said, oh no, if you already have it, you just have to go by the old rules. The only change is you have to stay, I think, 90 or 180 days or something a year. And then they increased the cost of the visa to 500 ringgit a year.
The point is, it's all in transition now, and we really won't know until Malaysia rules on whether or not they're going to be more reasonable and invite retirees back to Malaysia. So we'll have to wait and see what happens.
Fingers crossed.
Fingers crossed. So Malaysia has been one of my favorite places in the world for many years, like you also one of your favorite places. So hopefully they'll get it together, because it's a great place to live. So what makes you tick? In other words, you've moved to another country all the way across the world. How do you see yourself different than other people? That most people want to, just hang out where they grew up. What is it about you?
Well, siblings will probably kill me, but I'm not that close to my siblings. I mean, I have 2 brothers and 2 sisters. My sisters I'm close to. I'm not that, and my parents are both dead, of course. I'm just not that into family. I don't feel the need to be around family. I have no children. I think that's one of the biggest drawbacks for people moving here from the U.S. is that it's just too far away from their family or their grandchildren or stuff like that.
Right.
So I just didn't have that, and it was easy. Plus, I've moved 35 times in my life. I'm always running something new and a change.
Right. Change and chaos are not threatening to you.
No, not at all.
So what does a 1-bedroom here rent for, roughly? Or do you have a 1-bedroom, or what is your...
I have a 1-bedroom loft. It's 2 levels.
Right.
But it's all open. The bedroom's not, you can't close it off. There's a balcony looking over the living room. which is cool. The ceilings are 22 feet high in the living room, which is great. I love it. I pay $400 a month, but that's US, unfurnished.
So maybe another 100 for furnished?
Yeah,
Right.
yeah. So I pay, for all my utilities included, probably about $60 US a month.
This is a beautiful new, one of the nicest condominium projects in the city.
It's
Those
at
high
800
ceilings.
square feet.
How about internet?
If I include Netflix, around $40. And it's fiber optic.
What about groceries?
Two of us, so about $500 a month on groceries.
And
About the same on eating out.
okay, so your food budget is
huge
is
portion
huge.
of
Yeah,
mine.
yeah.
I don't eat at Mama's a lot or the really inexpensive restaurants.
Right.
It's still way cheaper than the U.S. The thing I miss here compared to the U.S., getting really good quality beef for a good price.
Smartphone, what are you paying?
$30 to $35.
If you know roughly, what are you spending a month all in?
Well, I can tell you exactly because it's how much I get every month, and that's $2,000.
$2,000. We find that to be fairly common. People spend what they get roughly.
There's this one group of friends that meets once a month for a movie night, and everybody brings food, and and we drink and watch a movie and eat, and it's really fun. But the socializing, that's probably the best part. And I have a lot of expat friends, but I have a lot of Malaysian friends too.
Do you feel safe living here?
Absolutely. Way safer than the U.S. The last place I lived in Washington, D.C., I could frequently hear gunshots outside my apartment window. And you never wanted to walk around by yourself at night, ever.
Right.
I've never felt like that here. It's just the safest place I've ever lived.
So do you have health insurance here?
I do. And I just did a video on the health insurance here, but I have crappy health insurance.
Okay.
So, and health insurance is different here. In the U.S., it'll cover your doctor's visits and medication and stuff like that. And I just don't think that's the case here unless it's directly related to a hospital stay. I have it just in case something happens, like a heart attack or something where I have to go to the hospital. It's a 15-year policy.
Right.
So it's a term, but that also means that my premiums never go up, $75 a month. It has a lifetime limit of 250,000 ringgit.
Okay.
So that's not a lot. But it would go a lot farther here. But that said, out of pocket is so much more affordable here. I'm not too worried about it. I mean,
you could go back to the U.S. and get coverage there, right?
Well, I have Medicare, yes, but
yeah, there was a guy in the Philippines that I met, and he was having back troubles, and he would just fly to the U.S. every other year and get a back surgery, and his Medicare was covering it. So
yeah, I guess. Although there's two parts to Medicare, and I didn't take the second part, which I think is medication and stuff.
yeah, it's like doctor's visits and stuff, right?
And so now, if I go back, want that, I have to pay a penalty for every year I didn't have it.
You mean Part B?
Yeah.
Yeah. Have you looked into what hospitals nearby are good and which one you would go to? And are you comfortable with that? Do you think the medical care is good here?
I think the medical care is exceptional here. Like I said, I have this slight heart problem. I've had some minor surgery here. And that's all was in Penang at Island Hospital, which I think is great. But I'm just a block from Gleneagles, which is one of the finest hospital chains in Malaysia.
Right.
And the care is just incredible. I mean, I go twice a year to my heart doctor, and I still just go back to Penang because I like him, and it gives me a chance to visit my friends there. And I'll go in, and I have the whole barrage of all the tests, the twice yearly tests, blood tests, EKG, echocardiogram, checkup with the doctor, and it all costs like $200. I mean, that would cost you thousands of dollars.
Thousands of dollars.
Plus, you go in first and you get your blood work. By the time you see the doctor, he has the results.
Yeah.
It's just amazing.
And talks it over with you.
Yeah.
And sits there and talks with you
Absolutely.
like you're a person, answers questions.
And my doctor's the head of cardiology, and he does the actual echocardiogram himself. It's not a technician, it's amazing. It's so different than the U.S.
So are you happy? Are you happy here?
I'm extremely happy here, yeah. I mean, first of all, I was able to retire. Where honestly I would still be working if I was in the U.S. I've been retired for 9 years already.
Wow.
That's just huge.
How do you put a number on that? I mean,
it's huge. I mean, I've heard about people who get bored in retirement. I don't at all. But yeah, I'm happy. I'm really happy here.
Well, Taylor, it's a joy meeting you. Make sure to go over and check out Taylor's channel. So we'll put a link to Taylor's video. It's an American couple he interviewed here, why this American couple retired to Malaysia. Thanks for being on the channel.
Thank you.
Hey, if you liked our video, please like, comment, or subscribe. Any of that would help our business. Thanks so much.
Thank you so much.